As we celebrate America Recycles Day today, I'd like to thank all the men and women of the recycling industry who are the force behind everything we do here at ISRI. We often talk about the 500,000 workers who are directly or indirectly employed by the industry, but it is you, as individuals, that make up the workforce and make recycling the economic driver that it is. It starts with one individual that becomes one industry, and then one ISRI. America Recycles Day is also a day to draw attention to the great work you do. ISRI had one such opportunity yesterday when we were invited by the U.S. Senate Recycling Caucus to moderate a panel discussion and provide a briefing on Capitol Hill. In addition to leading the panel discussion, which included representatives from Walmart, Washington, D.C.'s Department of Public Works, and ISRI members E.L. Harvey and K.W. Plastics, I was able to deliver a State of the Industry address. I wanted to share some of my statement directly with you. I reported that the state of our industry is strong, although not without challenges. Recycling continues to be an important economic engine and job creator. Today, the U.S.-based scrap recycling industry generates $117 billion annually in economic activity and provides more than 500,000 good-paying jobs. It is clear that recycling also offers real solutions for balancing economic growth and environmental stewardship. To understand the challenges that are affecting recycling today, I share that it's important to be aware of the 4 basic elements necessary for successful recycling to occur. The first is that recycling is a commodities business that is driven by manufacturing demand. Last year alone, the U.S. recycling industry transformed more than 130 million metric tons of industrial and obsolete materials into specification-grade commodities for purchase by steel mills, plastic manufacturers, paper mills, and others, all to meet their raw material needs. And it's that need by manufacturers that drives recycling. If there's no market to utilize the scrap material, it will not move, regardless of the volume collected. Second, the value of scrap is directly related to its quality. Recycling will not occur if the scrap does not meet the grade requirements of the manufacturer. And it is the ISRI specifications that are most often recognized by industries and governments alike as the reference system for promoting global consistency and quality. Third, recycling is far more than residential recycling. While residential recycling is the most visible, it represents less than 30% of recycling activity in the United States. The vast majority of recyclables within the U.S. come from commercial and industrial sources, which tend to be cleaner and with very little cross-contamination. Fourth, recycling is a global business. Each year, more than 800 million metric tons of recyclable materials are consumed and made into new products, of which nearly 20% are traded globally, moving across borders to wherever they are needed most. Within the U.S., between 30 and 40% of the specification-grade recyclable material is sold into the export market. Last year, nearly 38 million metric tons of scrap was exported, worth $18 billion, to consumers in 145 different countries around the world. Within the global recycling marketplace, the U.S. and China have traditionally been the key players, with the U.S. being the largest supplier and China the largest consumer of those commodities. For more than 15 years, China has accounted for more than 1/3 of all U.S. scrap exports, with a significant percentage of that material being lower-grade scrap from U.S. curbside programs. That is why China's actions over the last 16 months, placing restrictions on the import of scrap, have sent such large tremors throughout the U.S. recycling infrastructure. We've seen a drop in scrap exports to China of approximately 40% across the board during the first 8 months of the year, and that is only expected to grow. The Chinese government has set as a priority the growth of its own domestic recycling industry, with a goal of becoming self-sustaining in scrap resources within the next few years. China's actions exposed a number of weaknesses in certain segments of the U.S. recycling infrastructure, particularly with regard to the residential stream. Those weaknesses include a collection system that varies by community and driven by local wishes instead of manufacturing demand. Public confusion as to what can be put in the bin, resulting in increased contamination. And a municipal recycling infrastructure built over the past few decades to produce lower grades of scrap that are no longer in such high demand. The good news is that innovation has always played an important role in advancing recycling. Many recyclers have already begun to modify their processes and invest in technologies to produce the higher grades. But that takes time and money. Investments within the U.S. are also being made by paper and plastics consumers and will result in increased demand for scrap in the coming years. European and Chinese investors are also moving into the U.S. market to more easily source high-quality U.S. scrap. Innovation is also coming from public-private partnerships within the United States. ISRI is proud to be a member of the Department of Energy's Remade Institute, a multi-year $50 million effort initiated last year to drive advanced manufacturing within the U.S., focused on sustainability and recycling. This will provide new opportunities for the use of recyclable materials in manufacturing and also a greater focus on design for recycling. What is manufactured today, we hope will be recycled tomorrow. As products get smaller, lighter, and incorporate different materials, recyclability can become ever more complicated. So we're increasing our dialogue with manufacturers to ensure end of life is a strong consideration in product design. And we continue to work with our customers in countries throughout the world that need scrap for their manufacturing economies. India, Indonesia, Taiwan, Vietnam, and many other countries continue to be important markets. We will also continue to advocate for the removal of barriers that restrict market access for recyclables, and double down to clearly delineate the difference between waste and valuable scrap commodities, as they are often carelessly commingled. Keeping recycling strong in the U.S. requires a continual focus on quality, consumer awareness, market access, and demand growth. ISRI is working with our industry and community partners across the country to address many of these challenges, and we look forward to continuing to work with the Senate Recycling Caucus as we build an even stronger recycling infrastructure within the United States. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me directly. And happy America Recycles Day. And thank you again for your hard work and for your membership and support of ISRI.